Hello!
Hello!
And welcome to a special episode of the Insenan podcast that we call the Super League Special.
The Super League Special.
Yes.
Had no idea.
You guys know that we do a segment called Footbollocks on the show where we discuss, things that are happening in the world of football.
That's true.
And of course, something crazy has just happened in the world of football. Okay, I'm done with. I just wanted to start with the shiz, but no, it doesn't make sense. It's like 6+. What am I on about? We're outdoors.
Like a slightly more intricate child's toy. 6+.
Yes. Lego is 3+. This is at least twice as complex, but much more complex than all of this. How do you like that segue?
That was good. That was very good. Smooth.
Is the European Super League.
Yes.
Pierced the world of football and went into the world of news in general. Social media completely was taken over for at least a few hours on these 2 days where this stuff happened.
Yep.
But before we get into a discussion where I want to hear your thoughts, and I might have a couple, although nothing promised.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing promised.
Okay. We'll see.
I thought it would be cool for the viewers if we did a little recap on what's been going on, because I did
history.
I did a bit of I dug into this stuff to try and understand when did this begin?
Right.
This concept of having a Super League and all that kind of stuff. But maybe before we go into the history of it, would you like to explain to our viewers what is the European Super League?
So the European Super League is a proposed breakaway league.
Right.
By 12, well, it's supposed to have 20 clubs altogether. It was proposed with 12 clubs that had committed to it.
Yeah.
With 3 more to confirm to make a 15 that were going to be untouchable in this league. So regardless of their performance, they cannot ever get relegated.
Yeah.
There would be another 5 teams that would then come from various other leagues. They hadn't really gone into how those would be selected. Those would be on merit, and they can, promote and get relegated like every other league.
Yeah.
It was a move that very much flew in the face of UEFA and FIFA and the general major governing bodies of football.
Yeah.
And so, and it directly was in conflict with the Champions League and Europa League and all the current existing European competitions. They were trying to create a whole new way of football, which they believed was saving football.
Right.
But that's the debate.
That's the debate.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know or don't follow football, which is, your own fault.
Fuck you.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Apart from the fact that, hey man, do what you want. The way that European football goes, right? And okay, if you're wondering why is this all focused on European football, blah, blah, blah. The short answer to that is, in terms of quality, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of organization, European football, which includes English football, ironically, because of Brexit and all this, is by far the highest quality football that you're going to see in the world. And the competitions are the ones with the longest standing history, and it's the one that attracts the most attention. It's where you find the best players in the world.
Yeah.
No one league in particular, but especially when they all come together in the Champions League and Europa League, you see the best of the greatest teams and the best of the next level of teams in your Champions League and Europa League games. Now, what's interesting about the way it's set up right now is that in comparison to the way that big sporting competitions are done in North America, and places like this, hockey, basketball, baseball, whatever, although baseball, it's just one country. Japan as well. We're getting distracted. The point is, in European football competitions, you don't have an all-star competition. It's not just like there's a predetermined, these are the big clubs, the best clubs, and every year the same ones play. You qualify for these competitions by being the best in your domestic league.
Yep.
So the best Spanish clubs enter the Champions League that season, the best English clubs, and so on and so forth. And therefore, the winner of the Champions League is not just the winner of what we all think are the best teams, but objectively, the teams that played the best that season.
Yeah.
Like through a funnel, they get to the final.
And the funnel is more than just like the different European leagues building, like the top teams of different European leagues, right? It literally starts from the lowest tier, like 5th division English football. A team in that division could theoretically play in the Champions League if every season they play well enough to work their way up.
Right.
That's the idea of it, right? It's
merit.
It's merit. It's based on your performance. It's the idea that any team that plays well enough can play in this competition. The better you are, the better you perform, the better you play, the more you qualify for, the more competitions you can take part in.
Very much the ball is round kind of vibe. The ball is round. You get 90 minutes. Obviously the reality of the situation is you're not going to see Millwall play in the Champions League anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
But they could.
They could. Leicester City won the league in 2015 without any of the sort of finance at their disposal that the clubs that tend to win this domestic league have had in recent times. And it really was, even then, even when it happened in 2015, it was like a wow, when is this ever going to happen again? Kind of feeling. But ultimately, the fact is the structure shouldn't change. Or at least that's how one camp feels, is that the structure shouldn't change. But this was announced on Sunday, 18th of April, if I'm not mistaken, 2021. Let's deep dive a little bit into the history of it. I won't take too much of your time, ladies and G's, but... Do we have a thing?
No.
Can we do... Oh,
that was it.
I want to do a Ricky Jimmy. It's like, ooh, he's going back in time.
Done. That's it. That's the one now.
All right, done. So for those of you who don't know, including me until I did this research, in 1998, the Super League was first tabled by an Italian media company.
Okay.
I haven't been able to find out more details about this, but this is what I know so far. A group called Media Partners who wanted to move to create this annual club competition that is now being debated, postponed, whatever. The plan was defeated by UEFA at the time, who moved to expand the Champions League and abolish the Cup Winners' Cup to better accommodate clubs that were considering defecting. And this was what they have continued to do throughout time. Every time the Super League has gained more momentum, the Champions League and existing UEFA competition organizers would come in and say, okay, no, let's find a way to get you guys...
Slap another Band-Aid on it.
Something, give you guys more money, give you this, give you that. Because the big argument right now from the big clubs is, football needs this because, look, we're the only clubs that are losing money season on season from the Champions League and competitions like this are the big clubs. Allegedly, I haven't seen the books, right? But that's what they're saying. In 2009, Florentino Perez, who is also, of course, the president of Real Madrid, brought to life the Super League movement once again. Perez was chairman of the Super League back then. He was the first chairman of the current iteration of it as well. 4th of July. Sorry if this seems very impromptu. It isn't, but I just want to get this information out, right? It's accurate stuff. 4th of July 2009, Perez, fed up with UEFA, criticized the current Champions League, saying, we have to agree on a new European Super League which guarantees the best always play the best, something that does not happen in the Champions League. So we'll just table that and come back to that in a second, right?
Sure.
Perez stated that he would push for a breakaway competition featuring Europe's traditional powerhouses if UEFA didn't do more to ensure these teams played each other annually. I mean, the perspective is already
It's already just a retaliation rather than a solution.
Absolutely, number one. And, well, who knows? Maybe behind the scenes, Perez and company, the big, we don't know that for sure. But anyway, under Perez's plan, the continent's best teams would remain part of their respective national systems, which is different from what is happening now, but would be guaranteed the opportunity to play each other at the conclusion of the regular league season.
So after?
So no preseason, no international break, I mean, I don't understand how that would have worked, but I suppose that was the prototype in 2009. Just have some comments here. Arsene Wenger in 2009, for those of you who don't know, legendary football manager and
Spurs and
Jesus, you're gonna ex-Arsenal manager, of course. He was quoted in a Guardian article in about 2009.
Guardian Leviosa.
This is the uplifting segment of the show. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. No, it's the other way around. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Anyway, he said that so his argument was that sporting merit should be paramount, right? And that this is the case for the current format of the Champions League and Europa League, as we've just discussed. But he predicted in 2009 that sporting merit would eventually clash with the revenue demands of the biggest clubs. He made the point that given how much these clubs were spending in transfer markets and on brand investments, that the Champions League revenues just wouldn't be enough. So that it's due to their spending, how much they choose to spend to remain competitive at the highest level, that the revenue that they're guaranteed by UEFA is never going to be enough, or eventually wouldn't be enough. And of course, this is because UEFA holds all the revenue that it collects each season and divides it among competing teams. A Super League structure, according to Wenger, would allow the biggest teams to make far more money than they ever could under UEFA's structured competition and revenue model. This was 12 years ago.
Wow.
12 years ago he said this. In contrast, because we try to be balanced out here, Clarence Seedorf, who we all know is an absolute football legend. I have it here that this sounds like I don't know, but I know a lot. Played for Ajax, Madrid, and both Milan clubs. Expressed as early as in 2012 his support for a Super League structure. This was in a BBC blog article. Seedorf described this as an NBA of football where the biggest clubs played fewer but more high-profile games, right? And that this would involve the big clubs leaving their domestic leagues. So already a different thing from the 2009 proposal.
Yeah.
Right? I'll quote Seedorf here. People don't come to the stadiums for every match because if there is a game every 3 days, it is difficult. You need to make games more exclusive and make them more special. Why does everyone love the Champions League? It's because it's exclusive. Even if you win it, you only play 13 games. The Champions League could become the knockout cup of the European League, which would be the real European competition, whatever you wanted to call it. That's Seedorf in 2012.
Okay.
Right? We're almost there, Nerad. I know there's so much.
Painful.
It's painful. In 2016, UEFA again discussed the possibility of creating a closed league containing the 16 best teams in European football, from the highest ranked national leagues. These 16 teams would have been divided into 2 groups, with 8 teams in each group. After 56 games in each group under the round-robin system, I mean, imagine that, first of all. The teams that finished in the places 1 to 4 would qualify for the quarterfinals. The plan was finally rejected, and UEFA, in order to avoid the creation of a Super League, made changes to the structure of UEFA Champions League, and UEFA announced that for the trade cycle 2018 to 21, England, Italy, Spain, and Germany would have 4 teams in the UEFA Champions League group stage without having to compete in playoffs. So this move was a reaction.
Wow.
To the Super League. What we knew as being so I guess the 4th doesn't have to play off anymore to qualify. This is why. Incredibly. In 2018, the incredible rogue journalist group called Footballocks, who also exposed all these teams for their tax evasion and blah, blah, blah,
Nice.
Neymar and stuff like this. The fact that Bale was actually bought for more than Ronaldo, even though that was never disclosed, this was all disclosed by these guys, claimed that there had been an undercover talk about, that's not word, that there had been undercover talks about the creation of a new continental club competition, the European Super League, which would begin play in 2021. It was poo-pooed, but they were goddamn right. In 2021, Footbollocks was proven right. I just said that. Why am I reading this verbatim? This is damn unprofessional. Anyway, on Sunday, the breakaway teams, which included Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, AC Milan, the 6 Premier League teams, including Manchester clubs, my Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and for some reason Spurs.
For some reason, throw Arsenal in there.
No, I got love for Arsenal. Okay, we'll get to that. But no German or French teams. These teams announced and confirmed their plans to go ahead with the breakaway formation of a Super League. The New York Times quoted Florentino Perez as declaring, and this is where it gets, for me, wow. We will help football at every level and take it to its rightful place in the world. He sounds like Mao Zedong, by the way. Anyway, nothing against Mao, but this is a hell of a 5-year plan. The same article captures the central issue of the Super League excellently. Speaking of the current state of European football, the article states, in its current form, European soccer supplements domestic league play, an English league for English teams, a Spanish one for Spanish clubs, with continental competitions between the best clubs. The most prestigious of those, the Champions League, brings together the best teams from each domestic league each year to play for the title of Europe's and arguably the world's best club. The current system funnels hundreds of millions of dollars of annual television revenue and sponsorship revenue to the world's richest clubs, which supplement their domestic revenues and multi-million-dollar payouts, blah, blah, blah. But the format also sustains smaller teams in each country, which benefit from the gloss of their encounters with the giants and share in the money these teams bring in from broadcasting. The new Super League model would change that by stripping the Champions League of its most attractive and most successful teams and effectively walling off the richest clubs in their own closed competition and allowing them to split the billions of dollars of revenue in annual revenue amongst themselves. According to the Super League's Sunday statement, the founding clubs would split about US $4.2 billion for signing on to establish a sustainable financial foundation. The per-team figure means each founding club will receive $400 million, more than 4 times what the Champions League winner took home in 2020. And when this was announced on Sunday, the world went mad. All right, Nerad. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, from Wenger's comment, the biggest issue is that because they are spending so much more than the smaller clubs to get the kind of players that they need to compete at that level, they are not earning enough, or the amount that they've always been earning is no longer sufficient. I get where they're coming from, but they don't have any leg to stand on, right? It's your choice to spend the kind of money that you're spending. That's the result.
Although the question is it though? Because, clubs and shareholders and board members will demand that they remain relevant and capable of earning these figures, which you are going to get by competing at the highest level in the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to get into the Champions League if you're not in the top 4 of the Premier League? How are you going to be in the top 4 of the Premier League if you don't have players that can beat, That's the argument, and I'm not saying I agree with the overall.
Yeah, but
move,
like that has always stood, right? Like that's always been the case. It's just that, and we know we know the point at which transfer prices suddenly shot up. Right?
Yep.
It was around Ronaldo's move to Real Madrid when.
That was around the time of Wenger's comments.
Yeah, because that was the big spike, the base level of what transfer became insane.
Yeah,
basically it's their choice to spend that kind of money on these players. They are by having so many rich clubs participating in the bidding war, the prices go up. And so they are creating that issue of the inflated prices, because it's not like general inflation that has risen the price this much, right?
Right.
Like of an average player, like we think about within our generation how much Ronaldinho was sold for in his time, right? Like ridiculously small numbers compared to
what's being
paid
50 million for Fred and stuff like
this. Average players,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That you sign here and there for 30 million, 20 million, and that's already fucking ridiculous.
Andy Carroll, 35 million in 2011.
Yeah, and
right? Like,
so like it's impossible for the smaller clubs to have influenced that change.
Right.
It has been the rich clubs who have caused this issue. Right, by being willing to pay that, and by definition, if you're willing to pay it, how can you then turn to another organization like UEFA and demand more money from these same competitions if you're the cause of the inflation in the first place?
So in the Premier League, for sure, the big first change of this, because I mean the idea of football becoming a very profitable business, that came over a course of time.
Yeah.
Right? As the game became more internationally renowned, as you had sponsorships and broadcast deals all over the world and all that kind of stuff, the game picked up. It became a lot more profitable. More money came into it. But Chelsea, when Roman Abramovich came into that club and took it from a mid-table team to what it is, or at least what it was at the time, bringing in the best, I mean, arguably the hottest manager in the world at the time, Jose Mourinho, signing some of the most incredible players, and not necessarily in the way that you want to sign players. Bringing in people that don't necessarily know what to do in a league like the Premier League and stuff like this. But the signs were there, I think, from then.
Yeah.
That was the first time you saw that, wow, okay, people are willing to take this risk of just paying over the market price for players, just for the chance of shooting your club up in terms of status, importance, and likelihood of winning these competitions. But by the time Man City came along, I mean, that was it. That's all she wrote. Then United was already, at this point, just trying to catch up because they were a huge club. But they recognize that, okay, if we really want to compete, if we really want to win, and not have it just be the age of Manchester City, which it really honestly has been, we also have to start signing the best players and all this. And for a club like Man United to go away from the youth club, the youth sort of building up and training and entrance into the team, that succession plan that has always been there, for that to change at United, to me that was like, okay, then this is basically what the future is going to look like for any club that has a hope in hell.
Yep. You look at the kind of players we signed during that period, right? Like, we made so many big money signings. Like Di Maria.
Yep.
A perfect example. Like, he reminds me of a Shevchenko, right? Because it was the same kind of mentality. Like,
I remember who I was thinking of at Chelsea when I was making that point.
It's like,
Shevchenko's the guy.
We're just going to spend a lot of money to get a massive name.
Right.
Does whether or not the player fits into your team,
right,
you almost feel like that was never taken into account.
Selling shirts, right?
With Shevchenko, it definitely wasn't, because Mourinho just didn't want to sign him.
Right.
But that was like one of the earliest instances, right, of money really driving the decisions.
I think Chelsea in modern times their model has been normalized by Man City, because what they do dwarfs this. They deliberately flout
Chelsea was just
fair play.
the first ones who kind of like did that, right?
No, but Chelsea, to their credit, have never been accused of FFP.
No. I mean, they've had other issues.
They've had similar, but nothing so blatant and brazen as what Man City is doing, which is basically taking the stand that, your FFP laws are wrong. This is what global dominant football looks like. We can afford your fines.
And this is the thing, right? So it's like, seeing a team like City sign up for the Super League makes complete sense. Right? Because this is what they've come from, and this is what they do. It's when you look at teams like, so I see it at least for the English clubs, right? Because it's to me it's an easy split of 2-2-2.
Right.
There's City and Chelsea, who came from money, and their owners are, it's still the same owners, right? So they came from money, and they're obviously going to make the money move. Teams like United and Liverpool, who have incredibly rich history. I mean, not that the other teams don't, but like
the two biggest clubs in English football, for sure.
Huge, and it just seems for those two clubs, as on top of how insulting it is to make such a selfish financial move that fucks over the rest of the smaller clubs.
Yeah.
It just feels extra insulting that you would need to go and join a league where you're untouchable. You
it makes
can't
me
be
wonder,
relegated.
right? How bad, because the whole, sorry to interrupt you, but because I wanted to bring this back into the Super League context, like the fact that, I mean, not that we weren't, but like, that there are two schools of thought that, hey, this is a business move, this is what they need to do, and that you guys don't understand necessarily what financial pressures we're on and what's pressing us to make this move.
Yeah.
Seems to be a difficult one to maneuver because we don't, right? It's difficult to say. It's not like their books are easy to access and analyze and try to figure out really what are the positions they're in. What we can look at is what we've just looked at, right? Which is why are you even in this position in the first place? It's your own volition that's brought you here. So it's really not a good, argument to then go back and say, hey, we have no choice. You did have a choice. You made the game what it is like now.
And to that point, right? Like on top of how selfish the Super League is, given so things like how these top teams that are doing this breakaway league will then be kicked out of all the other competitions, right? Domestic and European, all of them. They're pretty much
kicked out. They want to leave. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They want to leave.
And they're claiming that this is saving football, right? But you can literally count the number of clubs it saves football for.
Yeah.
The clubs that put themselves in that position. But by doing this, you then fuck the rest of the league because they're all smaller teams. And by your own definition, people only want to watch the big games.
Right.
So you're trying to say that we should have our own league to get rid of them more than
right. I think what they're saying is that, hey, people aren't watching football as much as we think they should, and that think they should comes from, of course, the wallet, how much we should be making. Right? So we should have much more games that are just Barcelona against Arsenal every weekend. Who the fuck wants to see Barcelona beat Arsenal 9-0 every week? Nobody wants to see that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to see
that. They genuinely don't understand football.
Right.
Right? Like, because I get it. You look at it on paper, yes, those games make you the most fucking money because the most ticket sales and everything.
Good games,
and so to them, it's like, yeah, just do that every day, la.
I mean, some of them would be good games, I think. They think we should just do that every day, la.
Yeah.
But the problem is,
it's what makes it special. Why is the game important? Why is it a big game? It's not because of the quality of this team against the quality of that team. It's because of the stakes.
Right.
It's because of what's on the line. What do you have to win?
And the fact that anybody who's playing in a Champions League knockout game, even a group game, is there because they beat other teams to get there.
Yeah.
Not that they were somehow ring-fenced out, and I find that really sad.
If they lose, they're out. That's it.
Correct.
And it's not just that's it, try again next season. That's it. No, we still have to keep fighting because we still have to qualify in our domestic league for next season's Champions League to even get back here and try again.
And another point, even realistically what they were saying, if they wanted to still maintain their position in the domestic leagues and stuff, how is that ever going to work?
It doesn't.
How could you play a Premier League game on Saturday and then play a Super League game on Wednesday? When are you playing your Champions League game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they would have to pull out from the European, like the UEFA,
the Champions League.
Champions League and Europa League. They would definitely do that because this is like a competitor, right? It's not supplementary.
I mean, but then that's just correct. I see your point, but that's just absurd. Like
that's replacing the point of the Champions League. So as it is again, even so UEFA's response to this was a plan that they had in the making for a while, which is to extend the length of the group stages, basically, including more teams. Different instead of 8 groups, it's just 2 groups of 10. And basically, it's added what they said, I think, 100 fixtures to the Champions League altogether. Right? So they're doing this to try and increase the
number of games being shown, increasing broadcast revenue.
Before any of this has happened, every single top club has been complaining about the schedules.
Right.
Because they're already being pressured by the broadcasting side to have as many games as you can, packed as tightly as you can.
Right.
Especially over things like the Christmas period. There are more games over that period because they know that people are
decided by the business end.
Right.
But the brunt of it being borne by players and managers who have to actually play these games.
And even the fans feel it because and the fans get behind it because you want your team to play well. If it means your team plays one game a week, sure.
That's better. What we're interested in is quality football games.
Yeah.
Not just a lot of good title cards. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely one of the things that struck me when I was just watching the immediate fallout on like Monday. So before the English teams pulled out, which by the way is what happened. So the English teams pulled out, Milan pulled out, and Inter Milan pulled out, and then they backpedaled and said we're not going ahead with this for the time being. Actually, I will read out their statement, their latest statement they put out recently, to give you an idea of what's coming next. 21st of April, an unsigned announcement was made. And the reason why I emphasize on unsigned is that it's not clear whether this came from the clubs that remained in the league or whether it was about, all of the clubs, including the ones that had already left, that came together for this statement. But it says this: the European Super League is convinced that the current status of European football needs to change. We are proposing a new European competition because the existing system does not work. Our proposal is aimed at allowing the sport to evolve while generating resources and stability for the full football pyramid, including helping to overcome financial difficulties, blah, 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 for the rest of the teams. Despite the announced departure of the English clubs, forced to take such decisions due to the pressure put on them, we are convinced our proposal is fully aligned with European law. Okay, so that's all due diligence. Given the current circumstances, we shall reconsider the most appropriate steps to reshape the project, always having in mind our goals of offering fans the best experience possible while enhancing solidarity payments for the entire football community. So they're really taking steps to try and make it look like, look, we're not trying to destroy the rest of football, but we are not stopping this. This plan is going ahead at some point.
It's so. Their only thing is, what do they call it, a supplementary package?
Yep.
That thing, basically a payout to the smaller clubs, which will be a one-time thing, right? Or maybe seasonal. I don't know what they have, but
they're basically paying them to shut up.
Because because they don't want the small clubs to use the exact same justification for doing this, which is that people only want to see the big games.
Correct.
So we're going to separate. So those small clubs who, just the same way Real Madrid will earn more money playing against Barcelona than a smaller team, like Granada maybe. You're still Real Madrid, so your average game is going to earn a lot more than Granada's average game. So you're now just taking away that one big game that they have, right? And you're doing that to the entire rest of the league. You're taking away not just that one big game, you're taking away every big game that they have by saying that we're just going to do our thing lah.
Correct.
It's,
Where do
incredibly selfish.
Where do you see things going from here?
So the bizarre thing is, the Juventus owner, who is the current chairman, right, of the Super League, implied that the Super League is over.
Okay.
It's done because and can't continue. This was a statement he released right after the 6 English clubs pulled out. That's 50% of the 12 that.
Interesting. But before this announcement was made.
Before this announcement.
I see.
Because he initially came out and said, without these clubs, it's down to 6. I don't see a way forward, basically.
Of course,
and then following that, more clubs have pulled out. I think there are only 3 left in the league now.
Right.
Yet Perez is still adamant that this is going to happen. It's just on hold, and he pointed out that the 12 have signed something permanent. Vague.
Okay.
But he's implied. He said, well, they all 12 of them have signed a binding contract,
which means they put money down.
So what's going to happen? Because it's interesting. You compare that with then the owners' reactions for the different clubs, right? Because they genuinely were blindsided by the fans' reactions.
I heard some reports that they actually knew that there was going to be some pushback, but they had never anticipated it would be like this, which just says it all.
That
just says
mind
it all.
blowing. That they couldn't
that they thought it would be surmountable.
The thing is,
which brings to mind, by the way, the fact that Dortmund and Bayern Munich did not come on board. They automatically issued statements saying that we 100% are not involved in this.
Dortmund
for a very interesting reason, not just because they disagreed in principle, which I hope is the case, but German leagues have had, the German league, and I believe their divisions as well, has had this ongoing thing for years that, if not all the way, that every club must be at least 51% owned by the fans.
Shit. Yeah, I remember that. And I think people are pushing for the English league to do that as well.
They're incapable of making a decision that goes to the heart of what competitions, what everything are they involved in at the highest level, like at the shall we say, existential level of the club, what it is and what it does, cannot be changed without super majority decisions. So you really need the fans on board. And what a model!
Brilliant. I didn't know that was already in place there.
It's been apparently for some time.
That's perfect. I was gonna talk about Dortmund earlier when we were talking about how their justification is that we need to spend this ridiculous money to stay competitive and stay at the top and stay to even qualify for the Champions League to then go on and win it, right?
Yeah.
Their whole point is that they need to spend. Look at Dortmund. Look at how Dortmund do business.
Yeah, dude.
Right? They don't spend that kind of crazy money. To be fair, Liverpool don't either, really.
Yeah.
You guys are, even when you do splash.
Although, the media reports it very differently.
Yeah, but that's
really no, man.
Yeah,
you look at it, really no.
You have to report something, right?
Something.
You gotta write something.
Yes.
But no, realistically, like you look at the way club handles the market, y'all don't splash money like crazy. United have started to tone it down, but not out of any sort of sense.
Yep.
It was really just as a reaction to the fans shitting on them for becoming a money club, and then they started to not do it.
And what's his face? Ed Woodward is done and gone, man. Just on the back of what you've just mentioned.
I would like to.
He has resigned.
I'd like to take everything back that I said up to this point. I think the Super League has its benefits. You know, it's not all bad.
Yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
yes. Yes.
Although I was hoping that it would get rid of him and also the Glazers, the owners, right?
Yeah, but that's going to take
Do you know
some time.
what Joel Glazer's apology? First of all, no, sorry, sidetrack. Ed Woodward left, and there was an article about it. I was reading the article, and then there was a quote. It just starts. The quote just starts, right?
Yeah.
And it's talking about like, let it be known on the record that Ed Woodward was a blah blah blah, blah, blah singing his praises, right? But like with in taking into account the fact that he's just done a major fuck up.
Yep.
So as much as possible, it was just like, look, for the record, he's
Standard
done
PR
wonderful
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, no, fair enough. PR shit. I'm like, why? Why though? And then I got to the end of the quote.
So you can get another
multiple
job.
paragraphs, and then the end of the quote. No, it's Joel Glazer himself. It's his boss.
Wow.
The other one, it's like maybe if I paint him in a good light, maybe he'll paint me in a good light. The fans will buy it again, as they did before. But in his apology thing, he admitted that he didn't understand the fans. He completely misread the situation.
It's bullshit.
And
It's bullshit.
I was hoping
How
this
could
would
they not have had aides or anybody tell them?
anyone.
There's no way this information was not brought to their attention, right?
Yeah.
It's just an afterthought.
The problem there is, and I don't know about other clubs, but for United, it's that Ed Woodward is the bridge between
up.
the owners and
Straight up.
football,
Yeah.
right? Like he's
Yeah.
the man to run the club. Fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
I'm of the opinion that I have two things I want to mention here as in going forward. One, which is that I don't think the Super League will ever really take off unless they find a way to not put it at odds or not put their, just again, I think Wenger outlined the tension perfectly. If they can find a way to make a Super League competition go forward without making it go at odds with the concept of merit being at the heart and soul of European football competition, then sure, let's see what that proposal looks like. But they would struggle to pass anything that is not dramatically different from how they tried to propose it this time. That's one thing. The second thing I realized is that as much as I love Liverpool, and I love Liverpool, and I love the English clubs that have been, indicted in this whole thing, and football, and the clubs, and I'm repeating myself. Despite this love, it's made me realize that, from the business end, from the decision-making end, these guys don't give a fuck about the fans.
No.
And that was a bit stark. Shout out Jarvis, Singapore-based, hilarious comedian. I don't know if you know who Jarvis is. You know Jarvis, of course. Good friends with our cousin City as well. He put out a video recently, and when I say recently, I mean in response to the Super League thing. It was the funniest fucking shit I've seen in a month. He was just basically making the point I'm making right now, which is that these guys don't give a fuck about y'all. You know who y'all should go and be emotionally invested in? Singapore Premier League.
Yeah.
Games open
Fair.
24th April. I'm going to be there. It's my aim by the end of this year to pick a team that I'm going to support with all my heart and soul in as much as I support Liverpool. And I think that's one thing that's come out of this that has woken me up. It's like, yo, whoa, what is going on? We've got teams here struggling
Okay.
to even play football and get people in the stands and stuff like this. I'm going to do my bit, lah. I have not put my money where my mouth is in terms of supporting the sport and the people that play it here. And so I'm going to go down to Singapore Premier League games from now on. And I think we all should.
Cool.
So, yeah, man.
All right.
Apart from that Super League stuff, all you 6 fucking Premier League teams that did this, motherfuckers, y'all will not see this. I guarantee you. You can't, even if you were watching this, it's so dark right now, you wouldn't see it.
I was about to say, it's been a while since we looked at the camera, so this has turned into an audio podcast.
Enjoy the ASMR sounds of the Insenans. All 6 of your Premier League clubs, motherfuckers, if I see you outside, you're going to beat one time backside, upside down. You don't know what the fuck kind of shit y'all just pulled and how we feel about this.
Inside out.
Living La Vida football. These guys should be relegated, and that's really how I feel.
Yeah.
They should be fucking straight up relegated. Sorry.
I'm pissed off that they haven't been immediately kicked out of the European competition.
Absolutely.
This season.
How? Yeah.
It's no. None of us deserve.
I think
to be in
UEFA
it.
has always been the reasonable party in this whole thing. All they have done over the last 12 years since this thing began is longer than 12. It's 20 plus years since '98. Is bend over backwards to try to accommodate the revenue demands of these big clubs because of course they must recognize that they need them in these competitions and all that. But also they're not unwilling to just make changes to accommodate this and realistically allow these clubs to continue and do their thing. So you know what? It's just been a madness, lah.
There was also one other point, right? It's to do with, we've been talking about this from mainly the club level and the business level.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to talk about was the players' perspective, right? The players and the managers who've had no say in this. They were just as blindsided as everyone else because this was literally like a fucking snake move.
Yeah.
Right? They went behind everyone's backs. The guys who perpetrated this were working in UEFA, in the organization itself. So these people were literally backstabbing to make this happen. So the players and the managers were all blindsided by this shit. And they're the ones who this really impacts the most because it strips away their right to play for the national teams.
Crazy.
You know, because they're going against FIFA, right? So all FIFA and UEFA's Euro competitions. They can't play in the Euros, they can't play in World Cups. Why would these players even want to stay in your club?
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they all leave, no one's going to want to sign for your club. The players in your club are going to want to leave. Yeah. You're going to fuck your entire concept of a Super League.
It was never going to work anyway.
Exactly. It was never going to work.
It was never going to work.
And I love the Premier League for this. They said that if any of them want to come back after they leave, if they leave and they want to come back, they'll have to join back in the 5th division and work their way up.
Come on, fam.
How fucking brilliant.
That's a fucking message.
Because that one will seriously cripple a club.
Correct.
Right? Because who is going to sign on for a 5-year project to rebuild a club that has decidedly fucked its fans and players and managers? Who would sign on to that project? Your club will be shit by the time
Michael Jackson comes to mind. He likes the young projects. We're not gonna. I shouldn't have done that.
He'll play for Newcastle. He's black and white and it's jail.
And on that bombshell. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watch this episode all the way to the end, then you are a real Footbollocks fan.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for supporting the Insenan podcast. New episode coming out soon.
Hopefully.
Weekly, so next week. Yeah, as you know. Please, at the end of this video, what we're going to do is we've asked some of our friends to send us some short videos just telling us their comments and stuff. We don't want you to just walk away from here with our thoughts on this. We'll have some videos at the end of this for you guys to watch.
I only have 2 friends.
And both of them said no. Please, show us your support. Give us a like. Share this video with your friends as well. If you know.
Give a like for the camera who's done a arguably pointless job tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. And therefore, deserves your support.
Yeah.
I'm running out.
Shout out to daughters because fuck the son for leaving.
Oh, hey. Wow. The prodigals. Stop it, sir. Leave your comments down below, of course, as well. We want to hear what you guys think, and we will address them in next week's episode of Footbollocks. And you know what? The thing that we should really be worried about is Uncle Fu and Bob Woodin separating to form their own Insenan podcast Super League, dude.
Oh my God.
We didn't think about this until
League.
The Fupa League, dude! I didn't think of it now, but if Uncle Fu was here, he would have thought of it, guaranteed.
Oh, for sure. That's what he does.
Fu sure. Fu sure, dude. They don't call it football for nothing, okay? It's a Fu. It's the first 3 words in the letter, okay? U words in the letter, correct. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
So let me tell you guys a story about a guy named Grant Holt. Back in the year 2000, Grant Holt left England to sunny Singapore to play for this club called Sengkang Punggol. 12 years later in 2012, Grant Holt played for Norwich, played against Liverpool, scored at the Cop End, a winner against the mighty Liverpool playing for Norwich. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Premier League. Sure, Super League, watching the likes of Mbappe playing against Salah, Messi, great players playing against each other every week. Yeah, sure. These clubs, they join the Super League, they get a windfall of, 300 something million pounds. Let me tell you something. When a small club beats a big club, when an underdog gets a win and upsets the best teams, now that, my friends, is priceless. Glad the Super League didn't work out. Football, its soul would have been ripped out. That's what will have happened. So, long live the underdogs.
Hey guys, so here are my personal thoughts and opinions on the European Super League. I'll keep it short and simple. I think the 12 clubs involved should at least be heavily fined or punished for even thinking about trying to destroy how football is being run and played at the moment. I think there are a lot of problems in football at the moment with racism, with VAR, with corruption, and I think the European Super League will only add to these problems. I think these clubs are just thinking for themselves. They're not thinking about the greater good of football, and also goes against the morals and principles and just basically how football should be run. Football and sport in general should be about, you know, working hard for your success, not having things your own way. I think it was not a good look on the clubs involved, and I'm glad that it got shot down early, because, you know, it would have been detrimental to the future of football. So, but that's my personal opinion. What do you guys think?